Main screen turn on. I am a complete dumbass. I actually just went through all these levels talking about a certain subject and I forgot to record. Great. My name is Yidoger. This is my co-commentator, Nemesis. And I'm gonna play through all these levels again. Just because I can. So it's part 10 actually already. It's been since... It hasn't been since part 5 that I actually did a playthrough like this where I'm talking while I'm playing. Everything else was just a pre-recorded display discourses. Oh. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing, but it's what it is. At any rate, since I didn't actually talk about what I've been playing in the recent videos, I think that happened in my previous playthrough as well that I obviously didn't record. So, just a few comments. Prince Froggy from the boss from the Midway Castle in World 3 was actually always one of my favorite bosses back when I was younger. Normally, the bosses go that Kamek comes in and casts a spell on them. I don't want to touch Fuzzy and get dizzy. But in that particular boss battle, it goes the other way around, where Yoshi is actually the one who gets enchanted. I always liked that when I was younger. I didn't particularly see that coming at that point. Midway point. But I didn't remember that the boss was actually as easy as it was. I'll put a link somewhere here, so linking directly to the boss fight, just to show how easy it was. Oh, let me grab that. Also, the final boss of World 3, Naval Piranha, is actually one of the bosses that I think is the scariest. Perhaps bar 1 is probably the boss that I find the scariest in this game. Mostly because I don't typically like the aquatic or underwater levels. They tend to make me nervous for whatever reason, and I guess the fact that you swim towards this boss in a sewer kind of caters towards those feelings of it being the creepiest boss. And a lower score than first. Next level. At any rate, I kind of wanted to talk about my my past in this video. Not so much my personal past, but more my ePast, so to speak, or my experiences on the internet. So, we always had, well, not always, obviously, but we did have internet at my parents' home from a pretty early time. My dad has always been someone who wanted to be have the newest technology in the house and such, which is what actually kind of makes it a weird fact that we always used to have. Oh, too bad. Dial-up, even though. Oh, no X. Even though cable modems had been released already. So, oh, come on. So since we had dial-up and that being on the internet would actually drive up the phone bill by crazy amounts, it's not like I wasn't allowed to use the internet, but I guess you could say my parents kind of tried to discourage me from using it a lot, except for schoolwork and stuff like that, which I think was reasonable. But on the other hand, one of my mates, my best friend at that time, did actually have cable at his home, and he was always on the internet. And I wanted that too, you know. It seemed nice. He was always on chat sites, and it seemed fun to be online together. So 1 point less. So I actually talked about this with my parents. Oh, I died a couple of times in this level the first time. And they actually agreed to also take a modem for internet connection. Cable modem. So great. At that point I was actually capable of being online whenever I wanted, since we paid a fixed price per month, so it wouldn't really matter anymore. Now my friend was actually very active on let's see, this is the point where I died a couple of times. And this point. Alright. So he was very active on forums, chat boxes, but most specifically one from the television station TMF. Now what that was, it was kind of like a Dutch... Whoa. Come back here. Sheesh, that was just like a sitcom. So that was kind of like a Dutch version of TMF, as it was back in the past at any rate, when it still aired actually music videos. Oh, come on. There we go. So that was what he always did. And, you know, it seemed fun, and I wanted to do that too. But when we actually got cable, and I did go to these chat boxes, it kind of sucked. It wasn't really for me. It wasn't what I thought was fun. Let's see. But you know, my parents had gone through the trouble to arrange it so that I could actually be online when I wanted. Well, I mean, my dad was pretty pleased with it as well, but I was the one who kind of initiated the entire thing. So I didn't really want to let that go to waste. So I was online on the computer. I don't know, maybe an hour or two a day, just browsing around random stuff. More lives. And more eggs. And I guess through those random Google searches, I came to a site that I actually still visit today. And I think is one of the more useful sites on the internet, at least when it comes to gaming, which is same high score. I didn't watch, or did it just increase? I don't think so. And we're off to the castle already. But this is one that I still visit today, which is GameFAQs. And I actually came there through a Google search about Chow. Let me see, because I almost died here the first time. For Sonic Adventure 2 Battle for the GameCube. Alright. I always thought it was kind of funny. In a payback kind of way. At any rate, a guide about Chow. So that was obviously a game that I was playing back then, and I wanted some information on how to do that certain aspect So yeah, through that guide I came to the site itself, and I came to message boards, forums, which is something. Let's see, XXX, which is something that has been kind of a constant in my e-life since then. Message boards. So I didn't actually sign up immediately when I found them. I was content with just lurking about on several forums, mostly things that I needed information about. But it was actually the Sonic Adventure 2 battle forum or something that happened there that made me want to sign up, make an account and sign up myself. So what happened was, at some point, someone posted that they had found a secret secretary theme. Ooh, did I just mess up? Ooh, that was close. And the key. So a secretary theme, which could be unlocked by, if I remember correctly, because I'm doing this from heart. Or, well, not heart, from memory. By going to the theme select screen and rotating the control stick in a, I don't know, against the clock. Oh, that's too bad. Either with or against the clock at a certain amount of time. And most people were actually talking about, no, this doesn't work. Ooh. That almost ended not well. Most people were talking about, no, this doesn't work. This is false. And then there were a couple of people who actually said, no, I just tried this and it did unlock. So, okay. I tried it myself and because I was curious and it did work. That was, I think, the point where I decided to make an account there. Even though I don't think I actually did make a statement about if it worked or not. But that was the point that I made my own account there, so that I could post if I wanted to. But even then, if I remember correctly, GameFAQs wasn't my very first forum. That was actually reserved for a site that I found through a random Google search. I was really into Pokemon, still am kind of actually. I'm gonna assume that I found this through a random search where I just searched for an online Pokemon game or something like that. And what I found was a site called Pokemon Creator. Alright, third key, one more to go. And I forget, I think it's this one. Anyway, Pokemon Creator. So this was a browser-based game. And honestly, it wasn't that great. It kind of sucked. And I probably wouldn't have stayed there for long if it wasn't for... Ah, come on. If it wasn't for the fact that there was a message board there. And I think that this was actually my first encounter with the message board. Alright. Let me think. No, I remember where the key is. So I did make... Yeah, so that was my first array into... Ooh, ah, come on. I wanted to sneak through there and then start shooting. Oh. And there was actually quite a nice community, I thought. Well, for the time at least. I mean, like I said, it was my first forum. Oh, come on. And then I reminded I actually need to go here for the key. Let's go. Alright. And I have no eggs left. Brilliant. There we go. So I think the most important part... Sorry, I just went quiet there for a bit. Concentration. I think the most important part that... or the most important thing that came through Pokemon Creator for me was the fact that at some point I got invited into a club called Voltors, which was basically the people from Pokemon Creator who were considered, I don't know, the best posters, or just the people with that added the most to the site. So I got invited into that, and I actually made a lot of friends there. Yeah, so I made a lot of friends there, and a lot of them I actually still have contact with now. Alright, midway point. And it was actually through Voltors that I would later become a moderator on Pokemon Creator. I think one of the biggest members on Voltors was also one of the 2 moderators that there were at the time, which was not nearly enough. So basically myself and another member from the Voltors Club also became moderators, and it wasn't my first or my it was my first job as a moderator. Well, job, for as much as you can call it a job. It's not like you get paid for it, but... Oh, come on. It's not registering the down press. This went a lot better the first time. Perhaps I'm making too much... Wow. This went pretty flawlessly the first time I played it. Come on. I think I'm making too much sidewards movement. Which is why it's not registering my pressing of the down button. There we go. Wow, this is kind of difficult when the ground pound doesn't work. There we go. But yeah, being a moderator on a Pokemon Creator was a lot of work. There were 4 of us that did the job of what would normally be done by a crew of 16 or something. It was a pretty big forum, and we were pretty limited in our moderating tools. Most of the tools didn't even work either, so we were pretty much limited to verbal warnings or just banning people. I think about 3 months or so after I actually got promoted to a moderator, the administrator of both the forum and the site decided to stop and shut down the site. So that was kind of short-lived. I think in the end that was kind of good as well. Mostly due to all the work that went into it, as I said. Let's see, this was a pretty fun stage when I played it the first time. Let's see. Oh, don't tell. Oh, okay. So yeah, Voltors. Let's get back to that. The club actually did expand to other sites as well before Creator shut down. I think most prominently was or rather the site that is most prominent now, was Cerebi, which still exists today. I know that because I use it regularly. And also another forum site called Maryland, which I'm not sure if that still exists, but I think so. I think I saw a YouTube channel for that a while ago. So I was actually, and then there was at least one other site that I can't remember at the moment. But I was a member of all of those as well, typically on the forums. There were a lot of forums that I was part of back then. And I think that was kind of the problem in the end. But anyway, so on all Pokemon themed sites, I was typically known as Be the Dragon Trainer. Mostly because I loved, that's a strong word, but the Dragon type was my favorite type. So I don't know, maybe some of you have seen me in that form at some point. But I think the fact that the club was expanding too much was also kind of where it fell down. The club also disbanded at some point because there was just too little interest in it. People started becoming inactive, people grew older, yada yada yada, all that stuff that usually happens. Even then I was still a member on a lot of forums. I still even visited those that I did basically through Voltors, so like I said, Cerebi, Maryland. There were also other forums like Zelda Universe that I visited. And then I think the most forums that I was actually a part of them were based on sprite comics. I actually made another friend on Pokemon Creator who at some point asked me to join his own forum, which was called Megadorks V2, where he actually posted his own sprite comic, and I thought this was an interesting medium. It wouldn't be later that I actually realized that his comic was a complete ripoff from Bob and George, with a lot of stuff going on there that was also there, only more exaggerated, like Mega Man being super stupid, Dr. Light being an alcoholic, and blah blah blah. At any rate, I made a parody comic called Pokédorks V2. There wasn't a version 1, but I just spoofed the name. I enjoyed making these comics, but they took up a lot of time. Ooh, come here, baby. They took up a lot of time. Megadorks at some point also shut down due to basically, or the forum shut down due to the mate who actually made that comic. He wasn't interested in making comics anymore. So yeah, that kind of put an end to all that. As a community, which was like 10 people at most, we moved on to another forum where one of the other members was active, which was called the Blue Castle, and I also moved my sprite comic there. But there was a lot of drama on that forum. I can't even quite remember what. I wasn't really a part of that. But there was a lot of drama, and that forum actually shut down as well. And that was the point where I made my own forum. And mind you, these were all Invision-free forums, because that was the thing to do back then. And that was actually called the Bee Castle. I still think that was actually a pretty fun forum, but... Oh... that's too bad. I was hoping I could... invisible myself through that. Or invincible. Alright, there we go. But yeah, so I had very few members. Most of them were my personal friends, or people that I met through the internet that I got to join. So that kind of died out as well, and with that my Sprite comic. Which, like I said, I had a lot of fun making, but it was too much work as well, so I guess that isn't too bad. But at the same time, that actually did lead me to finding out about webcomics. And I still read a lot of those. Alright, you're back. Oh, come on. So yeah, webcomics, I still read a lot of those. Even some of the ones that I also read back in the day. Though a lot have also closed down by now, like Brawl in the Family, for example, which is quite recent, or Bob and George, obviously, which was many years ago. But I think with my decline in interest in message boards, first level actually improved my score by a bit. But with my decline in the message boards, I also kind of lost interest in the internet in general. And I think that was only revitalized a bit later on when YouTube became a big thing. And that kind of leaves me where we are now. I think that would be an interesting story for another video, since this is already going on for over 25 minutes, I guess. So I guess with that I want to sign off. And I hope to see you next video.